Hello, this is Aoife and this is the Happy Weight podcast. This is going to be a second episode helping you through Christmas. So if you're listening to this podcast, maybe we've got the same aim. We're going to have a comfortable, delicious, memorable Christmas. We're going to feel gorgeous as often as possible. Which is all so different if we've been living with disordered eating, because with disordered eating, we feel uncomfortable. We certainly do not feel gorgeous mentally or physically. We feel guilty and we feel a bit lost with food maybe. So let's set a very, very different intention for this year. So I just want to start with a different story from the week. And, I realized the last episode had a strange eating story as well. Not a strange eating story, but I suppose a story with food that if we were disordered with would lead to a lot of guilt. So last week I was talking about my mad need for mince pies and custard, which was gorgeous. Loved that. Felt very well after it. But yesterday actually something similar happened. So I love being hungry for my dinner, and I love when I get to that sweet spot of you're really ready for your grub. And, you go home in time for lunch or wherever you are, that you have a lovely sandwich or you have a lovely lunch, and you can really experience that feeling of going from hungry to full satisfied done. You know what I mean? And the whole thing with that feeling of full satisfied and done is, unfortunately, it's like we can't really get that unless we're hungry beforehand. So if we're just kind of always full, our bottomless pits, we could just eat and eat and eat, and we just feel different levels of full, but not really done or satisfied. It's really weird. We can feel quite like we're bottomless pits. But actually, when you do feel hungry before a meal, it's a great contrast, because as you're eating, you can really feel your belly filling up bit by bit until it reaches that point where it's comfortably full and you're done. And that's just a lovely, lovely experience. But anyways, I was leaving work yesterday and I was really starved, and I had to go into Aldi for cat food. And when I was there, there was a six pack of their Aldi equivalent of Space Raiders, those crisps. And I was like, wow. And they just are really jumping out at me. And I'm not a massive crisp person or chocolate person or whatever, but they were really jumping out at me. And so then anyway, I was driving home and I opened a packet, and I had a packet, and they were gorgeous. And they felt nice and everything. And they were teeny though. They felt like kid-size crisps. Those, sometimes now I feel like the modern bags are half empty. You open them and honestly, it feels like there's 7 crisps in it or something. So understandably enough, I wanted a second packet. And then before I knew it, I wasn't in Drumley yet, and I had eaten all 6 packs, right? Or I'm not all 6 packets, yeah. But what was different about that now, right? Versus say when I had eating issues, when I was 3 stone heavier, when I did have overeating, emotional eating, comfort eating issues, binge eating disorder, etc. It was a world away from that, right? Because I was present with every pack. I consciously chose to open the next one. I consciously was aware that the moment actually wasn't over, that another pack would be nice and another pack would fill my belly, and maybe I have a high metabolism, or maybe I just had under-eaten earlier in the day or something. But the 6 packets of crisps fitted in perfectly. I was in no way uncomfortable after them. And like I said, they seemed quite small packs. And at one point I was going to check the calories, and then I was like, Aoife, that's the old you, don't check the calories. But I have my guesses. I'd say they were 80 to 100. But anyways, so that was all so different from before, because before, I would have categorically just hated myself. If I had 6 packets of crisps, I'd be kind of like to myself, well, there's no wriggling your way out of this. That is disgusting. You are a disgrace. Who eats 6 bags of crisps in one go? What is wrong with you? What is actually wrong with you? And I would have come down so hard on myself. And I was thinking about this last night, because that's all so strange to me now, right? to kind of categorically call something wrong without ever getting a check on what your body's opinion was of it, because my body did not have a problem with what I had just eaten. And yeah, I'm aware there's a lot of salt in it or whatever, and that's no problem. You know, another meal I can have a lot of fresh veggies and not add salt or whatever. There's no big deal. You know, I'm not running out of chances and choices to have different nutrition now. But you know, my body, there was no evidence of overeating. And I was like, imagine if the kind of way our mind works with disordered eating, imagine if we had that with any other kind of physical thing going on in our body. Like, imagine if we were like, oh my God, did I eat, or did I wear way too many jumpers last night? I must have, because it was 13 degrees. For 13 degrees, you should wear a t-shirt and a jumper. You should not need 2 jumpers. Oh my God, I definitely wore too much jumpers because I wore 2 jumpers. You don't need 2 jumpers. Like, how bananas would that be? And you'd never ever do that because, of course, it's kind of like, well, first of all, you're only ever thinking about taking on enough jumpers in order to sustain feeling nice, you know, so that's always the aim of the game. You wouldn't actively put on so much jumpers that you're, you know, very hot, or not wear enough that you're very cold. But with disordered eating, we forget about comfort. We just think about rights or wrongs, do's and don'ts. So we actually do end up under eating, or we actually do end up saying, well, the day is ruined now, so I might as well eat so much that I feel horribly uncomfortable. But like, that's just wild to me anyway, looking back on it, because, you know, you'd never do that with jumpers, because you'd be like, well, do I remember feeling too hot last night? No, I don't. So clearly I didn't wear the wrong amount of jumpers. I remember feeling fine last night. So it's always the same with food. It's like, if you remember feeling fine this morning, there was nothing wrong with your breakfast. Like, if you don't remember feeling bloated, lethargic, gross, whatever, if you don't remember the taste being really boring but eating it anyway, there was nothing wrong with that food. There's nothing to go over. There's no self-flagellation needed. And you see all that self-flagellation, all that like automated judgment, automated, oh my God, no one's doing that. No one's eating that much. What's wrong with you? Why are you eating like that? All of that is just like what's making us into this growing failure, like this growing sense of failure, moving us further and further away from ever having the ability to eat in a normal way that makes her body feel well and to become her ideal weight. So that's the difference there, you know, is huge. So I just wanted to share that story with you because, like I said, it was a non-event. I went on to make dinner and eat dinner with my family, and I went according to my cues. Like, the remainder of tummy space I had until I was properly full, I used for my beautiful dinner and a bit of brownie afterwards. And there was no problem. Went to bed feeling lovely. So yeah, it was all good. But like I said, that would have been a wildly different adventure and not a good adventure back in the day when I had eating issues. But anyway, back to Christmas, okay? So my first point here is for this lovely Christmas we're going to have, right? So compared to last year, compared to all the Christmases before, this year is going to be different, right? Because this year we are going to make so many nice food memories. You are going to be in like January, or even after 1 week of Christmas, or any night of Christmas, you are going to be lying in bed and you are going to be looking back on these moments where you ate delicious food and you felt wonderful afterwards. And you are going to have many, many times and these little pit stops throughout Christmas where you actually feel nice. You actually feel fine. Your belly feels nice, or maybe you're hungry or excited for the next meal, or you're ready for the next meal, or you're going to bed feeling well, and you're contrasting that with all the memories you have of last Christmas or the Christmases before, where in that same position you remember feeling mank, or you remember feeling bloated, or you remember feeling guilty, or whatever. So we're going to cultivate all these new moments this year, and this year is just a jumping off point. Like, this Christmas will be edit 1. If you're coming at this Christmas with a new mindset compared to the mindset you had last Christmas. So this is like our first jumping off point. Next Christmas again, you're going to learn even more. But to be honest, that first intention, right, that you are going to have a memorable, delicious Christmas. You are going to find so many opportunities to create with food nice feelings in your body. And you are going to go to the beat of your own drum. If something doesn't interest you, if something's going to make you feel too full, if something's going to make you feel mank by the time you're walking up the stairs to bed, you're not going to be eating it because you are aware that there will be more food tomorrow. So, like I said, that's actually enough of an intention, because if we're very clear on what we do want to feel, well, then we're automatically getting very clear on how we do not want to feel. So what you will not be standing for this Christmas is you are not interested in feeling gross. You are not interested in eating stuff that is not your thing. You are not interested in maxing out at the early part of the day, so the rest of the day food-wise is boring or uncomfortable or bloating or just an increasing feeling of mank. You are not interested in feeling gross by St. Stephen's Day or even Christmas Day. Like, you want to save yourself. Like, the best is yet to come all the time. And even January will have different wonders and different needs when it comes to food. And I'll touch on that later. But there's always nicer calories around the corner. So you are not up for maxing out. You are not up for feeling gross. And if you do feel gross at any point, you will repair yourself quickly. You will do what you need to do so that you can feel incrementally better in the next hour. And only you in that moment will ever know that formula. You won't be able to read that in a book or anything. Only you will need to know, only you will know when you need to drink more water or slow down on the eating or give your belly a rest or have some ginger tea or whatever it might be. So having that intention as well, that you do not deserve sustained discomfort. And I was chatting to a client about that today. You know, she's on her journey coming to the other side of all of this. And we were kind of saying, or I was kind of saying that whole putting up with discomfort when we have weight problems, it happens on the micro level with food. You know, like we're willing to go to bed bloated and mank. We're willing to wake up with food hangovers. We're willing to eat stuff even if we're not hungry or whatever it might be. We're willing to constantly feel physically uncomfortable. But also, unfortunately, that can kind of seep into the rest of our life as well, that we're willing to say yes to sisters or family or friends asking us to do stuff when we actually need to say no, or to our bosses or whatever. We need to draw the line there and have some boundaries so that we can protect how well we feel. And that's another thing that I really noticed on my journey losing weight and everything was, I never hear people talking about this, but like, it was all about protecting myself, always about protecting myself. Like, as in, I'm going to stop eating here because I want to protect myself. I want to be going to bed feeling nice. You know, I want to protect myself from feeling mank and gross and uncomfortable. And I want to protect myself from the horrible voices in my head giving out to me for eating chocolate earlier or giving out to me for my weight. I'm going to protect myself from all of that now. But yeah, so the other opportunity with that, right, is that also it can work the other way. If you're now implementing boundaries with your food, that you are like, well, obviously I will be using food to feel comfortable. Obviously I will be feeling well after my dinner. Obviously I will be feeling well by the time I go to bed. Obviously I will be feeling well or excited or hungry before my takeaway, whatever it might be. The cool thing is, I really notice with clients, they start implementing those boundaries all throughout their life as well. They start saying no when they need to say no, basically. So it's not just our food and our weight and our body we're helping, but we're helping our whole life, basically. But anyways, on to point 2 that I think is directly related to Christmas as well, is love big. So you getting clear, right, that, oh my God, mulled wine is my thing. The thing about us loving food, like I certainly in my disordered eating days would have been very ashamed of loving loving the wrong foods, loving high calorie foods. I would have been embarrassed about that. I would have been shameful about that. I would have judged the fact that I liked so many high fat, high sugar foods. And now it's like, you're normal. Like, you know, fat is a nutrient that we die without. Of course, you like the taste of high fat foods. You're normal. But the new way of looking at this now is actually our ability to be confident enough and to love something at the same time as us actually being really discerning. So if you really know that you are all about these 2 mince pies and custard, that might be one of the 20 foods on offer at the buffet or whatever. And your ability to focus in on how much you love the mince pies and you want the taste and feeling of that in your belly, you're automatically being discerning. You're automatically then saying that is not my thing. That is not worth it. So us being concrete clear on what we do want allows us also to get clear on when it's not the moment for something else. And I think it's really important, right, that if you are, say, in the mood for a mince pie and custard, and then there is something else there, I don't know, whatever it might be like a load of cheese and crackers or whatever, but you're kind of more in a sweet mood and you know that the mince pies and custard will make you feel full after them. You know, it's just really, really important to say to yourself that I'm not saying no and never to cheese and crackers. Like, I can make a date with them tomorrow or tonight or whatever. It's not that they're going away. It's not that I'm anti cheese and crackers. It's just now I'm reading my body, and right now that's not the taste and feeling that my body wants right now, but it will be there later. The third point is, I might have mentioned this on the last podcast, but like, there are, is it 31 days of January? Yeah. 31 days of January, right? January could be cold, could be dark, could be bleak. You could be broke. There could be family members gone. You could be back to work. You know, there can be a few downers about January. So you will definitely need comfort food in January. There's no doubt about that. There is absolutely no doubt about that. In fact, you might very well need more comfort food in January than you do in December, because December, you could be busy. You could be doing a lot of chatting, having a lot of getting a lot of your dopamine from connecting with people, from being around people, from interacting with people. In January, there mightn't be as much people around. You mightn't be having as much connection and dopamine from other people. You might be needing it from food. So just really have your wits about you now. You know, you might have to endure a lot of diet conversations, a lot of people saying what they're going to do in January or what they're signing up to do in January, and certainly do a clean out of social media, block, report, whatever the hell you need to do of any like weight loss stuff for January, any of that, because it promotes an idea of food scarcity. It promotes an idea of food going away. And I've worked with a lot of clients that have realized that their eating problems are food scarcity dressed up as something else, or food scarcity that they just actually never noticed before, that there was a kind of ongoing fear that they might get hungry later or there won't be food there later. So the idea that food is going away never helps us. So now instead, flip that on its head. Like I said, you are like, and to be honest, not just January. I would kind of prepare yourself that you are going to need comfort food every day of 2025. I would just prepare yourself for that. And then maybe if there's a day that you're not hormonal, you're not moody, you don't need nice tasting stuff, cool, great, what a surprise, brill. But I would err on the side of caution that no, you cannot max out on eating loads and loads of comfort now and then have no comfort in January. It doesn't work like that. You will have emotional needs in January. The next one is number 4. Sure, I might as well have it. Be aware of the I might as well have it. I was talking to a client today. She's doing really well. She was on a business trip during the week. And she could just see such a contrast in her eating this week versus the other time she's been away with work. And she was like, there just would have been so many times that like, this week is all over the place now. Sure, I'm away with work and geez, sure, I've very little choice. I'm in the hotel and here I might as well eat it or whatever. And just as she was saying it, I don't know, there was some way that she was saying it. And especially now she's doing so well and she's feeling so much better and everything. I was kind of like, what a crap reason for your jeans to be tight. Do you know what I mean? Like, what a crap reason for either your jeans to be tight or to be 1 or 2 sizes bigger than you need to be. Because there was a few moments where you said, I might as well do a food that probably the moment was over. Like probably your belly was grand to stop there. So those moments where our old voice or our old habits are saying, sure, the packet's open now, sure, you might as well finish it. Be like, wait a second now, let's interrupt that. I have a choice here. I have a choice. I do not have to be a dustbin for the rest of this packet of food. I don't. Like as in, I've got what I wanted out of it. It was gorgeous at the start. And now the moment is over and I'd rather save my belly space and my calories for whatever is going to cross my path later, because whatever might cross my path later might be nicer than this. And I've had my moment with this. So, I think catch yourself in those moments anyways, for sure. And then what is the next one that I have? Well, this one is a bit of accountability, right? So I started catching myself when I could hear my thoughts say, it's grand, Aoife, you're going to go for a big walk tomorrow. Because I'd be like, why are you saying that? Why are you saying you're going to go for a big walk tomorrow? Oh, you're saying you're going to go for a big walk tomorrow because you're really, really full, but you want to justify continuing to eat. So then I was kind of like, okay, you have to catch that there. Because first of all, you don't know, will you go for a walk tomorrow? You don't. And we need to separate ourselves from dieters and we need to separate ourselves from people who stay in a weight problem their entire lives that, you can't undo today, basically, right? Like if we hurt our body today, and I used to be hurting my body all the time. I used to be actively making my body uncomfortable with food quite often. I was bloated. I was overfull. I was to the brink of sickness, probably an overshare. I remember some Christmases vomiting, and not in a bulimia way, but in a I had eaten so much I got physically sick kind of way. So like I hurt my body so many times. And to be honest, the more you're willing to hurt your body like that, probably because of the more stories you're saying, like, I can undo this. This doesn't actually matter. This doesn't count for anything because tomorrow I am going for a big walk. Tomorrow I am going to undo it. And it's just really important to remember, look, what's done is done. Like if we overfill our body, we overfill our body. Like what happens tonight, what happens tomorrow, that's all new again. But there's no takesy backsies. Just like they've proven with sleep that you actually can't catch up on sleep at the weekend. Like the damage is done from small amounts of sleep. And I don't mean to be negative here. I'm just trying to be accountable because empowerment comes from accountability, us feeling really empowered, us feeling like we are spearheading our own change and our future is going to be different to our past. That comes with 100% accountability, 0% blame on childhood, whatever, metabolism, meds. Of course, all of those things are factors, but we are so accountable now for all the things that we are doing and all the things that we are changing. So just never let yourself say something can be undone tomorrow. Just like you can't wear a bikini today out in the cold weather and say, oh, it's okay, body. Don't bother taking any notice of this because tomorrow I'm going to wear loads of fleece jumpers. The body doesn't work like that. So equally, we can't say to our body, oh, body, turn a blind eye to my eating here now today because this doesn't actually represent me. Tomorrow I'll be eating much better and then take notice of that, but ignore today. Do you know, I used to kind of go on with that kind of thinking to myself. So yeah, just, own your stuff, own your decisions. Like, we don't even have to make ourselves feel bad about anything, but let's just really clock it. Really, let's clock it when we have maybe hurt our belly. And let's make this about a relationship with our body, not our mind. Like I said, the mind is kind of the enemy in all of this. We don't care what that thinks. It's always kind of giving out to us anyway. But with our belly, for our future to be different to our past, we actually do want to care how our belly feels. And if we did hurt it, if we did make it feel overfull, we kind of want to make it up to it. We kind of want to be like, okay, belly, I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I way overfed you. You did actually give me the signals for full, and I totally ignored them. I actively ignored them. I actively forced you to store food that you did not want to have. So I admit that. I'm sorry. And now I'm going to give you a real breather. I'm going to give you a real break to catch up on all your jobs, processing that last food. And I'm going to wait until you tell me when you're hungry again. And then the next one, point number 6, is just keep remembering you have options. Like, our old way of thinking was black and white thinking, either being good or bad, eating nothing or eating everything. It's all binary. It's all one or the other. Whereas actually, you've an infinite amount of options. So like, if you were kind of like, oh, am I going to go in here and stick to my 5 points or whatever? Or am I just going to say, feck it, let's eat everything and then be good tomorrow? Well, it's like, you have the world in between. And why not use this as an opportunity to go about it like someone without a weight problem would go about it, which would be listening to your body in the moment. So right now, it's not a pre-decided all or nothing thing by your brain. It's, what are the foods there that look like they could taste really good? And based on the foods that are out there, which ones do you imagine would feel really nice in your belly in 20 minutes time? So then there wouldn't be a binary option at all. Like, it's unlikely then that your answer would be that you'd eat nothing from the table or the buffet. And it's unlikely that your answer would be, I'll eat absolutely all of it and feel sick. It might be like, ooh, I'll have one of those with 3 of those. They're not worth it. Won't bother with them. And I'll have a bit of this and I'll have this and this. And you have your own little picnic of bits and bobs that taste nice to you and would put a nice feeling in your belly. And that's you being very specific to the moment and really listening to your signals. And with the whole not going for a binary answer, like, even I was chatting today with a client and, like, as in, it's a common story, but like, she's realized that her job creates a lot of ongoing stress, and it's quite an obstacle over and over again to try and manage the emotions that come from that. So previously, we wouldn't have managed an emotion like stress well. We mightn't have identified it. We mightn't have taken care of ourselves, and we might have just overeaten on top of it. Do you know what I mean? Just like, as well as the stress, then eat a load of crap and feel really crap. Whereas I was like, in those moments now, I think it's really important to, first of all, remember that disordered eating, there's a massive link with disordered eating and alexithymia, the inability to acknowledge or, to register or recognize our emotions. So we've an inability to kind of, basically manage the emotion, identify the emotion. That's really, really common. And second of all, reminding ourselves, hey, wait, you don't have to take care of this now than you did the last 100 nights you came home from work stressed. This could be all new. You don't have to go down the 2 routes of, eat nothing or be good or whatever, even though who can do that on a stressful night? I don't know. But the binary option then of, should be bad and eat everything, actually be kind of like, I have a million options here. Like, if it's 6 p.m. and I'm going to bed at 10, or if it's 7 p.m. I'm going to bed at 11 or whatever, I've got 4 hours where I have so many options, and food could be part of how I feel better, and what specific foods, and where will I get them, and what sauce will I add to them, and what plate will I use, and what room will I have them in, and what will I do after I eat the food. Like, once my belly feels nice and full and that part of the journey is done, what else could make me feel nice for the evening? So I think catching ourselves, and I was actually, sorry, one more story. There was another client I was talking to today, and we were chatting about, you know, like mindless eating, that, you know, in this new mindset, of course, we still have some of our old habits. So sometimes you could be halfway through a packet of crisps and you could be like, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't even want them. Like, I didn't even want them. That was absolutely total habit. And in those moments, we get to wake up and be like, oh, yay, okay. But I don't have to continue eating the bag. And I also don't need to give out to myself. Like, they're all the things I would have done before. But actually, I can treat this situation with new eyes and I can deal with it in a new way. And that just goes for Christmas. Like, every day and every moment of Christmas, you get to be new. You know what I mean? And really catch yourself. If you ever catch that feeling of, I'm a fat girl trying to be slim, that is the wrong feeling. That really doesn't help us. So instead, let's embody the version of us that we want to become. Let's embody the finished product and what she would move like, sound like, talk about herself, like how she would feel in her clothes. Like, let's really do the hard work to really try and be the end product in as many ways as we can, as soon as we can. And like I said, we can either be in the old mindset where it's kind of, oh, I'm a fat girl trying to be slim, or we can be in the new mindset where it's us moving closer and closer to the finished product, being more like the her we imagine ourselves to be in the future, if that makes sense. So yes, I hope this podcast was helpful. Thank you so much for listening. You can go to my website, happyweight.ie, if you want any more information about my programs, and on social media as well, at happyweight Aoife on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, I think. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'll chat to you soon again. Mwah.